Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize that I was not able to get this up as quickly as I wanted to. Some things happened this weekend that were out of my control. So we're going to try to get as many lessons up today as possible. So, like I said in class, we're going to be on Module 2, Lesson 1. I wanted you to make sure you watch this tonight. All right. Your first lesson is going to be opposite quantities combined to make 0. Okay. So this is something that I want you to complete, and you're going to share with me tomorrow morning. So please make sure that you're going to have this completed, because I'm going to call on some of y'all randomly, and you're going to have to give me some information. All right, so exercise 1, positive and negative numbers review. With your partner, which you don't have, it's just solo, use the graphic organizer below to record what you know about positive and negative numbers. Add or remove statements during the whole class discussion. So you're going to write down all your statements on what you know about positive numbers, negative numbers, and you're going to share with me. And as we go through, anything that you're missing, you're going to add. Anything that you already have, you're just going to sit there and put a check next to it. I don't want you to scratch anything out, because I want you to keep these statements, because these are going to be important. So, like, for example, negative numbers. I know negative numbers, okay, have a negative sign in front of them. Okay. I also know that positive numbers have a plus sign or no sign in front of them. You're like, Mr. Hale, what do you mean can have a plus sign or no sign? Well, you can have positive 7, or you could just have 7. It's the same thing. Positive 7 or 7 is the same thing. But with a negative number, you have to have that negative sign to identify the fact that it is a negative number. Okay? That's going to be important to understand. Those positive numbers are going to have the signs. Those negative numbers are going to have the signs as well. All right? But understanding that there is a possibility that a positive number won't have a sign is very important as well when we get further into our mathematics. Okay? So I want you to finish filling this out. Come up with things that you think identify a negative number or what a negative number means. Okay, same thing goes for a positive number, right? That's what I want you to do today for your part of your homework tonight. All right, so counting up and counting down on the number line. Use the number line below to practice counting up and counting down. Okay, so counting up starting at 0 corresponds to what? So if we start at 0 and we count up, we're talking about positive numbers. If we're starting at 0 and we count down, we're talking or corresponding to negative numbers. Okay, fantastic. So that's the difference between positive and negative. It's the direction on the number line that we move. We move to the right for positive, we move to the left for negative. Okay, so on number lines, we move right for positive numbers, and we move left for negative numbers. Okay? All right, so looking at the number line, where do you begin when locating a number on the number line? Okay, so I'm asking if I'm starting off at a -4, okay, if I'm going to try to get to a -4 on the number line, do I just go to a -4? No, I don't. Okay, I don't go to a -4 hoping I get there. Okay, you always begin, okay, at 0. You will always begin at the number 0 when you're trying to identify a number on the number line. Okay? Forgive me a sec, guys. I'm going to have to pause right here as soon as I can do what I need to get done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. So let's get back to where we were at, all right? So what do you call the distance between a number and 0 on a number line? Okay, this is going to be a brand new phrase for you guys, okay? This is going to be very important. It's going to come very handy in 8th grade math and Algebra 1. All right, you call the distance between 0 and a number on a number line the absolute value, okay? Absolute value is always, okay, always positive, and it measures distance, okay? That's important, all right? Absolute value is a phrase you're not going to hear very often, especially in this grade, but it's very important for us to understand it later on, okay? So the distance between 0 and a number on the number line, it could be 0 and a -5, it could be 0 and 8, it could be 0 and 50, it could be 0 and a -43. That distance is known as the absolute value. It's always a positive number. So the distance, the absolute value between 0 and a -43 is 43. Okay? It's a distance. It's 43 units from 0 to a -43. Okay? So what is the relationship between 7 and a -7? Well, we just talked about this, okay? 7 and a -7. If I was at 0, okay, it would take me how many units to get to a +7, and it would take me how many units to get to a -7? Okay? It would take me the exact same. It would take me 7 units. So 7 and -7, okay, have the same absolute value. Okay? What else do they share? Well, let's see. They are both 7 units from 0. So if I took a -7 and I added it to 7, what would I get? I'd get 0. Okay? These are what you call opposites. These are two numbers that if you added them together, you'd get 0. Same thing goes with a -5 and 5. Okay? Same thing goes with -50 and 50. See, if your parents decided to overdraw their bank account by $100, they'd be a -$100 in the hole. How much money would they have to deposit in order to get back to 0? They'd have to deposit $100. That's what we call opposites. Okay? So these two numbers are opposites of each other. Okay? So that's the relationship that 7 and -7 share. Same absolute value, and they're opposites. Okay? Fantastic. Good job so far, guys. All right. Now, the thing about this game, or the thing about this lesson, is that we're supposed to be playing a game. It's called the energy game. It'd have a lot of cards that have positive and negative numbers on it, okay? And you'd have those cards in your hand, and you'd be trying your best to get the value in the middle to be 0, okay? So you'd be tossing cards on. You'd be sitting there saying, okay, I got a -5. The value on the table is 3, so 3 minus 5, -2. So now the value is a -2. So what number do I have to add to a -2 to get to 0? 2, okay? Well, we're doing the same thing here, okay? So the first thing we're supposed to do, it says, what is the sum of the card values shown? Use the counting on method on the provided number line to justify your answer. So the first thing we're going to do is start where? 0, okay? We're starting at 0. First number is 5. Where's 5 at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's 5 right here, okay? So from here to here, I added 5. Okay? So now I'm done with the 5 card. But Mr. Hale, how'd you know to go to the right? Well, I knew to go to the right because it's a positive number. Positive numbers always go to the right of the number line, and negative numbers always go to the left. Remember that? That's what we talked about on the very first page of questions. Positive to the right, negative to the left. So, next card up, -5. Where am I going to start at now? 0? No, I'm not going to start at 0. Why am I not going to start at 0 this time? Right, because I've already started from 0 and I'm now at 5. So now I have to use my starting point of 5. So this is now my new starting point. So now I got to go 5 units to which direction? Right or left? Right or left? Right or left? And it's left! We're going to go left! Left is where we're going to go because it's a negative number. Okay? So starting at 5, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to the left. Okay, so now I've gone 5 units to the left, so now I've used my -5. So where am I at now? Right, I'm back at 0. Okay, so next, I look at the next card. It's at a -4. Which direction am I going to go this time? Right or left? Right or left? Right or left? Mr. Hale, go right. It's right. I'm telling you, it's right. Right, right, right. Okay, I keep on hearing right. I don't know why I keep on hearing right, because it's a negative number. Negative numbers go which way? Left, Mr. Hale. We go left. That's right. It's left. We got to go left. So where are we going to start at? Right, we're going to start where we left off. So we left off at 0 this time, so we're going to continue going 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the left. Now we're at -4. So now I've stopped at a -4. Okay. Now all that's left is what number? The 8. Well, is that a positive or negative? It's a positive, Mr. Hale. Positive. You're right, Jason. It's a positive number. So that means I'm going to go which way? To the right, Mr. Hale. To the right. You're right, Jasmine. We're going to go to the right. So we're going to start off at a -4, and we're going to go 8 units to the right. So starting off at a -4, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at 0, so we're halfway there. 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm right here. At what number? I'm at 4. So I moved 8 units to the right and ended at 4. Okay. Now you can use a calculator to verify that. It'd be 5 minus 5 minus 4 plus 8. Well, I know 5 minus 5 is 0. 0 minus 4 is a -4. -4 plus 8 is 4. 4. 4. So 4 is what my answer is. So what's the final position on the number line? 4. Now, part B says, which card or combination of cards would you need to get back to 0? Well, how many units from 0 am I? I'm 4. And that's a positive 4. So what number would get me back to 0 in one card? -4, Mr. Hale. It's a -4. Oh my gosh, Ashley, you are right on. It's perfect. Great job. I would need to draw a -4. What else could I draw? A -2 and a -2. Jamie, fantastic. I could draw a -2 and a -2 and get back to 0. What else can I draw? Yo, Mr. Hale. Yeah, I think if you sit there and draw a -1 and a -3, you get back to 0, because 3 and 1 make 4 and it's negative, so it'd be a -4. Dang, Dante, that's so right, man. It's a -3 and a -1. Fantastic. A -3 and a -1 gets me back to 0. That's what I'm talking about. Fantastic job, class. Awesome. Rocking it. I can see this is going to be a great year for us. All right, so got a couple more questions here. So exercise number 2, the additive inverse. Ooh, additive inverse. That's a new word. I wonder what the additive inverse is. So, let's use the number line to answer the questions and see if we can figure it out. Okay. So how far is 7 from 0 and in which direction? Well, here's 0. Here's 7. How far is 0 from 7? Okay, well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we're 7 units. And which direction do we count in? To the right. Fantastic. Now it wants to know what's the opposite of 7. Now, this is the easiest thing I will ever tell you to do. If they want to know the opposite of a number, just toss on the opposite sign. So this is a positive 7. So the opposite of a positive 7 would be a -7. What would be the opposite of a -3? Well, what's the opposite of a negative? A positive. So it'd be a positive 3. So instead of a -3, it'd be a positive 3. So how far is a -7 from 0 and in which direction? Well, here's a -7. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It's 7 units again. But which direction do we have to count in? Right. We had to count to the left. So it's 7 units in the opposite direction. Okay? That's all an opposite is. It's in the same position of the number line, but on the opposite side of 0. Okay? Opposite of a -1 would be 1 unit from 0 to the left. Be a -1. Opposite of 4, -4. Opposite of 10, -10. That's all opposites are. That's the additive inverse. Opposite and additive inverse are equal to each other. They're the same thing. So understand that. The additive inverse, okay, means opposite. Okay? Additive inverse means opposite. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so we are at, we got more questions to answer. Look at there. Okay, so we still got D, E, F, and G to answer. Okay, so thinking back to our previous work, explain how you would use the counting on method to represent the following. While playing the integer card, the first card selected is 7 and the second card selected is a -7. Okay, I'm not telling you this. Okay, this question we answer in class. I want to know what you think. You tell me that answer. I want to know what you think about that question. All right. We're going to answer this one in class. So I want you to think about it. How would you use the counting on method to represent the following statement? Okay. All right. So what does this tell us about the sum of 7 and its opposite of -7? Okay. So I want you to think about this. If you move 7 units to the right, let's go back and take a look at this, okay, before we get to that point. All right. Here we go. So if I started doing the counting on method, so we went 7 units to the right, okay, that's a +7. If I started at 7 then and I went 7 units to the left, where did I end up at? We'd end up at 0. Okay, so this tells us the sum of two opposites equals 0. That's what that tells us. All right, so that's important to know. We learned that the sum of two opposites is going to equal 0. So look at the curved arrows you drew for 7 and -7. What relationship exists between these two arrows that would support your claim about the sum and a -7? Okay, well, the arrows showed us that we start at 0, but end at 0. So these numbers have to be opposite. If we start at 0 at the beginning and then we end up back at 0 using just those two numbers, it proves to us that these are going to be opposite. So the question is, do you think this will hold true for the sum of any number in its opposite, and why? This, again, is going to be something we answer in class. All right. So take a look here. All right. Here's a property, and we're going to need to remember this, okay? For every number A, there is a number -a, so that A plus a -a equals 0, and a -a plus A equals 0. That is important to remember, okay? What it's saying is that for every number, say a -3, so that 3 plus a -3 will always equal 0, and a -3 plus 3 will always equal 0. It's just a property, no different than saying A plus, if A equals C and B equals C, okay, then, hold on. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. It's the transitive property. It's the same thing here. We're just using letters instead of numbers, okay? So the additive inverse of a number, okay, is the number such that the sum of the two numbers is 0. The opposite of number satisfies the definition. For example, the opposite of 3 is a negative 3. So thus 3 plus a negative 3 equals 0. Hence, negative 3 is the additive inverse of 3. Okay? The property above is usually called the existence of additive inverses. That's important. Okay? Do not forget that. All right. We're not going to be playing the energy game, so obviously exercise 3 is not going to be important. Okay? Some of you I know do not have your books, so I want you to look very carefully at the video. You're going to end up having to probably pause it here. Okay? This is what I want you to do. I want you to work on, okay? I want you to work on number 1 and number 2, okay, for your homework. All right? We'll do 3, 4, and 5 in class. Okay? So I'm going to check on these. Okay? So be prepared to show them up on your screen so I can see your answers. Okay? All right. With that being said, that's your Module 2, Lesson 1. That's the start of where we're going to be at. So I want you guys to know that I'm very proud of you guys. That your first week was amazing. I'm very excited about us doing this online program. I think some of you are going to be very successful in this. I'm worried about some of you needing to be in class, so hopefully the second semester we'll get back in class for some of you. But overall, I am very proud. I'm very proud of how we started off the week, so let's continue doing that and be very strong, okay? All right, remember who you are. You are the Mount Pisgah Eagles, so let's fly high and kick some butt, guys, all right? Y'all have yourselves a good Monday evening, and like I said, I'll see you guys in class tomorrow, okay?